Guys, watch our latest TikTok. It's hilarious.
bodacious.
That's bodacious.
And a little bit of, and a little bit of.
What we
Oh,
doing?
Binary.
Binary
Why don't you come on over, Binary? That is my right hand.
What is that? Binary. Should I write?
Do it with your right hand, mate. Yeah, that's tin, bro. Oh, distracted with the love art quick. Yo, this is good form though overall. Equal spacing. Nice. So,
That's awful.
Mari and I were watching a video at different times, at different locations, without each other knowing about it, because we are now one hive mind that will dominate the world. Psych, we don't believe in domination, we believe in unification. Amen. Alhamdulillah.
That's what every bad person says.
What?
This stuff, they downplay their worldly intentions.
We're not downplaying it, we're upplaying it. It's easy to dominate, it's hard to get people on your side.
It's easy to dominate.
Yeah, they don't ask the cow, like, hey mate, do you want to give us your beef?
It depends who you are, then it's easy to dominate. If you're the cow.
Oh, I don't have my microphone on. See, you're a team player. Binary tool. So in the past, there would be something that logically doesn't make sense.
Where's all the stuff for binary? Are we just ditching everything we've done?
That's right there.
Okay.
All the stuff in the in the past, they would see something that is so there's actually a fallacy associated with
binary tools.
Binary,
yeah,
because
with engaging in splitting stuff into two. I also saw a video that I think we could react to, explaining why. I'll show you.
And so the idea would be, look, if you make something out to be black and white, when in reality the world is, a trillion different colors, that's actually a logical fallacy, right?
It's apparently
either with
in the
us.
10 rules of hate.
Oh, interesting.
But I'll send that. We can, yeah, I'll send that.
When you say you're with us or against us, or when you say either you're a good person or a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that's a logical fallacy is because you're creating a paradigm, you're creating a duality, which is fine.
It's not a spectrum. It's either one or the other.
And so binary has tool factors into quite a few of my realizations that I had when I was on my Todd. And that was back when I was a 14-year-old me. So 14-year-old bio over here, right?
What's wrong with your legs?
And don't worry about it, I used to sprint. And I would watch YouTube content, okay, about creationists online. And I would be in the comment sections writing essays, having to fill in captures because I comment that much.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Essays?
Like paragraphs, bro. Chonging, I would get to the word limit. And
I didn't know YouTube had a word limit.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does now. I think now it's really high, but back then it was like 500 pages. Or something. Just a whole dissertation. You have like subsections and stuff. Okay, a blurb. Okay.
A contents page.
A contents page. That's basically what a tweet longer is. Anyway, and why are we talking about this?
You used to comment on
and
YouTube
so
videos.
What would be happening is I would take the atheist perspective, and atheists would be against the creationists. Okay, this would be a duality, and I would get really good at having this would be a concept or an idea here over in the creationist part, and this would be an idea here in the atheist part. And what the creationists would do, they would take some of the atheist concepts and weaponize them against atheists. And what atheists would
strawman that stuff,
for example, and
that's usually what happens. I feel like a lot of the time what they do is they will strawman an argument, or they'll remember the fallacy. There's a video we watched about logical fallacies. That's the one I was talking about, independently of one another. Now we're talking about it. We might have watched it on the same day.
Wow,
kind of wild.
That's a bit trippy.
What was I going to say?
Probably something amazing.
Oh yeah, the when will it stop fallacy. It's like if slippery this happened, the slippery slope fallacy, exactly. Oh, active word, Colin, that. Go.
That's all.
That's all. I gave you gold. And you're like, not titanium.
Just because you were like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I just thought I paused the song by accident. I thought there was no chorus or anything. Because you said usually it's straw manning.
It's usually. I would say it's usually for the most part. Because I think that's what people do. They'll take a point, they'll take it to its absolute extreme, and then that's how they argue against the extreme. It's kind of what I tried to do on the windowsill to you, right? And it's like, what, you're equating this to this, and it's like you're equating an earthquake to a punch in the arm, and it's like, no, that sort of thing. I from what I remember, and also it's the easiest way to win. Because it seems ridiculous. You're trying to embarrass the other party.
You're trying to make a mockery of the claim.
Which I think happens in debate generally. It's not only atheists and creationists.
No.
And also ad hominem attacks. Yeah. So those three, I think.
Discredit the individual making the claim as opposed to the claim itself.
Yeah. Like if right now we watched like Ben Shapiro stuff, I would argue that a lot of his stuff will be slippery slope.
Yeah.
And the two-thing argument. The split stone fallacy. Call it that.
Black and white fallacy or something like that. And so I would get really good at weaponizing our ideas, by R because I identified with this group, weaponizing the atheist ideas, weaponizing the creationist ideas, right, and all sorts of things that were being weaponized. And later on, much later on, like a decade after, I realized the more I engaged in this back and forth, I did feel a sense of improvement. I thought I was getting sharper. I thought I was getting better at realizing certain logical fallacies, for example, from the opposing side. But I was getting better within this duality.
Yeah.
And if you can step away from this, right? So I was, at the time I was heavily associated. That will be B for bio. I was heavily associated with this, right? Because I found this side so ridiculous. Whoever was opposing this, I was that. That's how I got involved, right? Because anyone
that's
that
most child who is questioning religion. That's usually what they do. It's
like anyone who believes the Earth is 6,000 years old, whoever's their nemesis, I'm their ally. kind of idea. And so if you can step away from this, if you can at least for a momentary time distance yourself from this association, one, and then two, if this is a whole other thing, if you can now associate yourself with the opposing side, right? This is difficult to do.
Is this perspectives now?
So this
would this be so? Because A was your perspective.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What you're saying now is try to occupy the perspective, or try to. I see perspective as a helmet.
Okay.
Put on the perspective of the creationist. Yeah.
And the reason that's difficult is because you have two parts of the person. We've grouped people into two parts. The mind, that's very logical, and the body, that's emotional. And it's quite easy to take the logical hat and take a the creationist. God is good. Morality doesn't exist without God. The loads of rules that just look around you, look how catered to humans the world is. Look at this banana; it's perfectly shaped for the man's hand.
A lot of people learn to read because of religion.
Right. Yeah. That doesn't go into the creationist thing, but goes into the wider argument of religion.
Okay.
Because that wasn't against religion in as a whole. It was
I think you were.
In particular.
I would argue you were. You would have been, because creationists align with religion.
But creationists are extreme. right? Because my dad was technically religious, but he wouldn't believe in anything that they're saying. But
you're talking about I was literally anti-religion.
Yeah, there was some points where I was like, sod it all, but then there's definitely some points in there that was like, sod it all. And so the easiest thing is just to remove your connection to this and go to something else, because you have a visceral opposition here. But if you can, and you can take on the hat of the other person, then the reason this person doesn't give up when they have ridiculous arguments that they can't defend is because somewhere down here there's something valuable. And from their perspective, the reason why the atheists don't give up, even though it's so obvious that creation is all around us, is because deep down they have something valuable.
I don't think that's why. That's part of why. That's not why. Let's be a little bit more precise. It's not why. Part of it could be on some level that they realize that there's a nugget of gold there. I think a lot of people don't give up. If there was no
nugget of gold, I don't think,
some people just psychologists have found that people like to be right. They don't like being wrong. Yep. They like to also be consistent, exactly. And so even if they find out that there's no nugget of gold, a lot of people, based on those principles, would defend that position. That's just a human phenomenon. People don't like to be wrong, especially in public.
I'm not saying that's wrong, because it's obviously right. But when I'm talking about these dualities, I'm talking about these are large topics. Like, a lot of people are talking about this, and a lot of people are taking both sides to the argument, even if it's swayed to one side or the other. And the fact that a lot of people have come to this particular duality, this binary, I would argue is because there's something holding it up at the bottom. If it's all vapid, I think it's not impossible, but I think it's very difficult to get two opposing forces to rile up against each other, keep them going because neither side wants to be wrong, and it's all smoke and mirrors, there's actually nothing tangible over there, and in a few months it just disperses and they never return to the argument ever again. And everyone's like, whew, remember when we believed A and B? Both sides like, oh, well, yeah, there's absolutely nothing valuable about that.
It's not about nothing valuable. There's... Don't do it, Mario. Don't get us banned.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes censorship is good if you're on YouTube.
So, take this. I'm not sure if this will get us banned, but I'm going to write it down. Will that get us banned?
That's okay.
Slavery is okay.
Bye!
See you never!
Never say never.
Slavery, it's not like people were defending slavery, and now most people don't defend slavery, so it's not really a conversation we have. It's not because there's absolutely no value to it. It's that we've kind of accepted that it was wrong, or given up that we can't defend that position anymore.
Over the course of hundreds of years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And I think the faster you leave the position, the less value, the less underlying gold there was there. And I would like to add as caveat, maybe we're talking about the wrong thing here.
Definitely.
I think the modern slavery exists. Modern slavery made this phone. And so modern slavery is going to make the stadiums where football's going to happen in winter. Because Qatar. Because if someone takes your passport away from you and tells you to work hours that you don't agree with, what is that called? What are you going to call it? I call it modern day slavery. And they're defending it, but I understand your point. So in the nuance of that changing and going away, what does that nuance bring?
But after this, we can zoom out and go back to what you were talking about. I'm not exactly sure why I brought that up. There was a reason, but it's fine. It's not important. No, it's just not important. I think I was trying to get a clearer understanding of something that's like a passing point.
Because in addition to...
I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, so the active person who's fighting isn't aware, there's something truly valuable, and that's what it makes it sound like when I say it so straightforward, when in reality you don't want to be wrong. You've invested so much time in this. All your friends believe this. How can everyone I know believes this? Of course it's true.
Yeah.
So the things that keep it going and the things that escalate it to the heights that it is aren't the value. Usually, it's all the other nonsense that goes along with it.
I guess the value would be how long it perpetuates. Right. One of the things is religion's proper old mate. Right. The idea of democracy is even older, right, than religion.
Which religion?
Modern religions.
Because if I'm being a little slime ball, I would say modern religions are monotheistic and they precede Greece.
I mean, Islam doesn't.
So modern religions are... Wow, is that true? Modern religions are not as old as democracy. Oh my days, that's true, isn't it? Very interesting. Okay, yeah.
As an abstract concept, and the concept of democracy has never truly been realized.
Okay. What do you mean by that? Just as a side note.
What?
The abstract, the idea of democracy has never been realized.
So remember what David Gerber was saying, that you can't have democracy when there's massive land inequality or massive wealth inequalities, and that's what everyone on the top has been saying as well. That's the same argument that Chomsky made on education for what and for whom. One of the things he said was democracy. You can't have true democracy in countries where there's massive inequalities, because the thing that the masses are going to vote for is land reform.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
The masses are just going to be like, let's redistribute it so that it's more equally distributable. And we don't have that. That's not even something that's possible.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it's not really democracy.
Okay. That's interesting. That's a whole other topic.
And also we don't have to talk about it. We can do a video where that could be the tangible thing we do maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's tangible day, right?
Okay.
Where we do the Chomsky thing and we try to analyze it. We can get ideas for TikTok tomorrow. From that.
All right. Yeah. So if you can break away from this, and if you're even powerful enough to take the visceral understanding of the opposite side, now
I've got an idea for TikTok. We can make claims and ask people whether they back them or not, or do they disagree?
I think that's one of the two tools. That's one of the two games, isn't it?
So like here, like this is a claim. Everything has been asked. True.
Wait, where's claims? I literally just saw claims. What does it say claims? Oh, controversial claims. Okay, that's all. Okay.
Yeah, but we've already done that.
Yeah.
But this is like a claim. This is a big claim. Everything has been asked. So that's your claim.
See, I don't mind this. The only problem is, how do we get engagement? Right. The reason we get engagement is because we're piggybacking off the success of another creator.
But we can like dribble our own content in, like we just did. But that wasn't really our own content. But we can try it. We can put it out there.
I think we should do this, but I think we need to find a way to weave it into an existing conversation that's happening. Because otherwise, you remember the guy who was like, "Hey, are you a creator?" and da 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 and da da da, and he's just making random videos and they get like 200 views. We're getting more views, not because we're more amazing, but because we're tapping into a conversation that's already happening, a trend that's already happening. So we need to identify trends, that find a bunch of these claims, and then find conversations that are those claims adjacent, and then hop into and give our 2 cents on those.
Okay, all right. But then later on we can do that.
And then once we have people who actually watch our stuff and go respond in the comments or video response, then we can just start doing our own stuff. Okay. So you can take these values and then move on to something else, and take the 2 values from that duality, and take the 2 values from that duality and that duality. And before you realize it, someone who's spent a decade just going back and forth here, there's still people on YouTube talking about creationists and stuff. Much less than it was when it was popular back in my day. But this person has spent so much time here, and they've got really good at, you get this weird kind of thing happening where the top debater starts basically being friends with the top other debater because they just keep debating each other all the time. It kind of gets a bit weird, but whatever. And so they've got one, in this example, they've got one piece of value, the atheist side. He's got one piece of value, the creationist side. Meanwhile, you've got this and this, this and this, this and this, this and this. And that's an example of perspectives and binary working together. Now, binary, the way we symbolize it is this. And the idea is you have a unit, and this unit can be literally anything. It can be a person.
Pick something.
It can be...
just pick something as an example.
It can be economy. It can be society. It can be food.
I literally saw a tool. Oh, that was in and
out. It can be social media. It can be humanity.
We wrote down binary. We wrote down the definition. What was the definition of it? We need to add that. Is it two ways of looking at the same thing?
Oh, where did we draw that?
We've got so many of these things. Let's find them for a second.
We did it on this. We wrote it down, but I looked and I couldn't find it. Because we wrote the opposites tool as well.
Yeah, we did. I think that might be in there. You couldn't find it here? That's not here. So sorting, this says, sorting is a way to give back to the community by helping to guide others, whether it's creators or other consumers. But what we're really trying to do is to help the creatives out.
Damn, that's true.
That was, you would say something and I would rewrite what you said. Mm-hmm. But this was when the ideas were new to me. So that's that.
To you. Where on earth did we write that down? Huh? I remember we had the supersymmetry, and we drew that out with the two balls. Yeah. And how they were opposite from one another.
Yeah. It's here. Just get up and look for a sec.
I don't think it was on paper though. I'm sure it was on digital.
Look. I swear it was on paper. Because remember, we got up and we were like, I was doing it on that wall.
Okay, we have this. In and out. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that one. I kept that one.
2 sequences claims. Okay.
So this is again in and out, but it's not the thing we're looking for. You didn't leave anything at my house, did you?
At your house? Yeah, there's a little bit page. There's my laptop bag, which is where? My laptop bag, which is where? There. No, it's not here. I'm going to take you upstairs, guys, with our wireless microphone. So I used to work alone in the dark ages and bad times, and I would have different notes in different rooms. So certain concepts, I would simply walk to that room to remember myself of the concept. But we've stopped doing that. We're trying to obviously digitize and make everything more streamlined. But in that process of change, I've kind of lost a bit of the oversight into what was where people want.
Definitely around here somewhere.
That's that. Difference between an ideal and a between ideal and the real.
PRV.
Uh-oh. Take your mic off. Take your mic off. Take my mic downstairs.
What? How long do you think
It is, isn't it? Fire hydrant. Yeah, we don't have those. We don't have those. Rotations as is rotation. Bodacious ass. Bodacious ass. No, this is all old stuff.
I've never seen these books.
Really? Okay. See, that's the kind of a binary tool there. Exchange, external, internal.
It was that day when we super developed it. I did. But did we do it?
No, it wasn't on Friday. It wasn't on Friday.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Voice note.
But it wasn't in Chorley.
It wasn't in Chorley.
Okay.
Remember I had the stick and we were using it to like teach each other?
It was that day. Yeah. First time when I was sat on the sofa looking up at you. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? I swear down we wrote it. Am I just lying? Am I just lying?
What about the one with the blue, with your blue thing in the background?
What? What blue thing in the background?
That one.
Nah, it doesn't have it. I've looked. Okay. Nothing?
No.
Not even here? You looked in all of these?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the oldest one that we've done together?
See, that's the thing. Not even here. Not even that far down. It's higher up. And we started doing it like this when we started streaming.
Yeah, exactly. So we've written it down. I'm going to listen back to the recordings that I made. And I'll tell you if after today, it's not that, no. That's narrative, state of mind, the little equation thing, and then that was from the video, the TikTok that we watched.
Okay. Well.
Oh well.
That's why we're doing it like this, so we can get it all in one place.
Ordered. Where's binary?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can split these inputs, these units, into two different things. How you split them is dependent on the user that does them. How well they work is...
So give a definition first. Thing. What's the definition?
Yeah, it could be economy.
No. Give a definition for binary tool.
Oh, okay. We've not done a definition for the other ones.
Where is it? Where is it? It's in my head. It's in my head. It's in my head. I see it on a piece of paper. We said it was a brown paper. Two ways of looking at the same thing, or something like that. Do you remember? You see it too. Where is it? You know we wrote it down. How did that piece of paper disappear? What is going on? It was a brown piece of paper.
Mate, you can even remember the colour.
You don't?
Is it underneath the sofa?
Can you check? I don't really want to get on the ground and start sneezing again. I'm going to be out then for the count. Here.
Jesus.
Has my mom been like sneaking? Is it this? No, is it? No. No, it's about narratives.
It's underneath. Oh, I forgot about this stick. Remember this stick?
Is that the Sunny stick? I've never seen a stick in my life. Bro, where? This is so annoying. Nah. God.
It's not even like there are that many places we've been. I
Where's
feel
your
like
laptop bag?
right
Have you looked in your laptop bag?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I thought it would be there.
Bro, that's actually very sad. We split it up into two things, remember, on that brown piece of cardboard. Have you looked here?
I've got this. No, that's all throwaway stuff.
Okay.
I've got this.
Was it maybe at the back of that? No. It was a little brown piece of paper. Not that little, but kind of A5-ish. You remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, not as clearly as you do, but... Yeah, so many notes, wow.
That's the problem with these things, bro. There's no ordering.
I mean, there used to be a bit more order, but then the notes were absolutely everywhere. I got embarrassed at how crazy that place looked. I mean, you can play the audio.
Binary.
You can play the audio on your phone.
Okay. All right. That was so it's big boys.
So at this point of the transparency of how
I think that's the problem with a lot of academics, including Noam Chomsky. Yeah. They see stuff from a very particular lens. I'm gonna have Noam Chomsky hate on my channel. Some of them bang.
Some of them really bang. And so that's why I think it's a little overhyped, and I think part of why it's a little bit overhyped despite that is because the tide is rising.
So I'm more aware of things.
It's just a counter, right? Where did all the Trumps and stuff come from? They came in retaliation to
This isn't binary. Was this binary?
Start respecting itself, especially from someone who's called the king of that thing.
And those got really big and had walls around them. And then we. But if you could sequence your reality, why can we sequence our reality so well? Because it's helped us get this far.
Well, it's not necessarily true. Maybe that's just what we're able to do because that is Cheeto does.
What? Okay, we're just eating now. See?
Doesn't have to be here though. It can be like a side cut. You're like, guys.
See again, something that our tendency to deviate, I think, will be kind of aided by streaming.
I don't think we. I think we only wrote the result down. I don't think we wrote the.
We wrote the definitions down. I swear to God.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just the definitions.
Yeah. Where is it? Well, where is it? It's on one piece of cardboard. And we remember it was the thing with the visualization, the ... the lines next to it. Do you remember?
Keep going.
Remember, we'd split it. Oh, we'd split it into two. We had this and this, and we had this.
Oh.
And then we had that, and then here we had two. We had two definitions for it, split by this line, and it was two ways.
That wasn't brown.
Of looking, it wasn't brown. Where is it? Where is it? Go on, Lassie. Go on, find it. 2 ways of looking at the same thing. What was the other one? If we have it, then we have it. Because we spent so much time on that.
Wait, active recall, bro. Keep going.
2 ways of looking at the same thing.
I bet it's at your house, mate. Where
My
else could
flat.
it be? Where else could it be?
Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to listen to those. You're going to absolutely clean your house. Please. I'm going to clean mine and find it. And
Why?
my
We'll
mother's.
just active recall it. We have it within us.
There was more.
Bro, you're over-gassing it now,
It
man.
was the one. The one that got away.
You have most of it right there.
So it was 2 ways. Remember binary?
Yes, and it had 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I thought that was on white paper, but maybe I'm just misremembering. And it was 2 ways of looking at the same thing, and 2 things that are opposite from one another. That's what
2
it
ways
was.
that are related in some way.
And 2 things that are opposite.
No, that was the opposite tool. We weren't talking about opposites. We were saying 2 things that are related. Like, remember, that was capitalism and communism.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
And we talked about the shadow.
That's not 2 ways of looking at the same thing. That's 2 things that are related. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Oh! And then we had you can do it this way or this way.
Yeah, exactly. You have the reverse binary, and you have the binary, where you start from a point, a unit.
Or this way. And it turns into.
It doesn't have to turn into anything. It just is. It's connected. It's like if you have the reverse binary would be com. It's not. This doesn't matter. This is arbitrary. We're not splitting something into 2. That's why it's the reverse binary. We're starting with points and going the other way. It's 2 things that are intrinsically linked. So that was that.
I'm starting to see that page.
Right? And then 2 ways of looking at the same thing would be give me, and then that was where 2 and opposite and all the other stuff came from. The cool thing was, on that paper, we'd made claims about what 1 was. Like 1 was T and 1 was U, and we'd done so much on that tiny paper. It was so dense.
It was dense. It was packed. Bro, it's not there, bro. It's not in this room. Unless it's underneath something. Because we've cleared this table loads a bunch of times. We would have seen it.
Oh my god! Oh my god, it's here!
It's not even that dense and it's white paper!
We've got it.
This better be. We wasted so much time looking for this, bro. You better blow my little retina out.
Wasted? How do you think we got here?
I'm ready. Go on, my body's ready.
Shut your mouth. Okay, alright. Alright, so that we don't need.
Oh, brilliant. What a great start. That was a journey, it's just a journey that got us to the good stuff.
Okay, so U, measurable, T, people.
Sure. 2 ways of looking at the same thing. 2 things that are fundamentally linked. Yeah, you recalled it, bro. You actually recalled it.
So that is utilitarian, and that we said was traditional. But that was a claim. All right, cool. That was useless. Okay. Hey, I wouldn't have actively recalled it had we not been searching for it, alright? So, binary tool. Let's split some. The binary tool. Binary tool. Binary tool.
Sometimes it's the journey, not the destination.
It's 2 things. I'm just happy we've got it, because I would have spent the rest of my life fantasizing about how amazing.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure the secrets to like the economy.
That's the problem with that. Whatever that was, is the principle of the one that got away. Mm-hmm. It's like if you got that, probably disappoint you. Mm-hmm. Linked, and then 2 ways.
Start comparing all note to that note.
Looking at one thing.
I can't believe you threw it away so quickly after you had it.
I had it here.
Are you Tate?
I had it here. I recreated it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the binary tool.
2 ways of looking at the same at one thing.
That's how we apply the binary tool. Mm-hmm. It's 2 ways of looking at the same thing at one thing. So, so you could look at dating from the male and female perspective, right? This is not necessarily true, it's just an example. So, like you said earlier, broadly, the sentiment that, one way of assessing dating could be men want sex.
Oh, okay.
Women want
money.
So this is from the female perspective, and that's from the male perspective. Mm-hmm. And so that is the binary tool. In this way, 2 things that are fundamentally linked, that's the reverse binary. That's capitalism. Communism.
Or socialism. I think socialism more than communism, but. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right? And that's this. Right. Now, there are things that are created on the back of the binary tool, which we can talk about, which is the 2 tool, the opposites tool, you have
visualization. Those are the main ones.
Mm-hmm. So this is the 2 tool. And then there's the 2 tool. And then
that's not the 2. That's not the 2 tool.
That's the 2 tool. That is. It's 2 ways of looking at the same thing.
Okay.
Right. That's 2.
Okay, that's 2.
And there's 2. Then there's opposites, and there's visualization. I swear there's another one. No, it's on there. Oh, bring it back. It's on the other side. Flip it. See, this has nothing. It's so useless.
I know that we added. You could add sequencing. It turns this into systems, and it turns this into something. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of our tools. You can kind of add them onto each other.
Okay, and these all, the reason why those stem from the binary tools, because they all rely on the principle of 2 things. So this is traditional and utilitarian, which we can go into. That's opposites, by definition, have to have 2 sides. And visualization is something that requires a little bit more explanation. It was just 2 ways of looking at things.
The same thing. Yeah. Either through zeros or through ones.
Yeah, and true also is. We're saying true to differentiate between 2 and true. We could give it a different name.
Yeah.
What could we call this?
Oh, what's that song where it's like There's always two sides of the same story. I love you so much. This human touch. I'm just singing about that.
Oh, F-U, verb.
It's like first the dude came out and then the woman came out.
His name starts with an A.
And it was like the same beat and the same
so
thing.
she did F-U-R-B. F-U right back.
That's
he said,
right.
I don't remember his was...
Just F-U or something, wasn't it? I don't want you back.
Yeah, I don't want you back. Oh, yeah. F-U, you hoe. I don't want you back.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, so why were we singing this toxic song?
We wonder why the state of the world is the way it is. Because two sides of the same. Because if you write back, she said there's always two sides of the same story.
So then we're gonna what? Say what? What's the name?
I was hoping that was enough of a catalyst to spray you into a
Yeah. Okay. Should we Google two?
Two ways of, because these two things are your babies, mate. You have a more intuitive understanding of these than I do. For now.
Duo. Duet.
Duo.
Pair. Duplet. Dyad.
Or like maybe
tandem.
A coin. Like
tandem tool. What does tandem mean? A bicycle. You could call it 1 less than 3 tool.
Two ways of looking at this one thing. Look twice? Or
the double? No.
Yeah. Double look.
The couple.
Couple.
It's a couple of things. Team, couple, two, double, pair, twin tool.
Twin tool. Two ways of looking at the same thing. Yeah.
It's not intuitive, I would argue.
Something about coins. Over and under or something?
No. So this is two ways of looking at the same thing. You can call it no, not synonym tool.
Inverse.
See, all the others are quite intuitive. I want it to be as intuitive as opposites. Because two sounds fine. It's two ways of looking, but then we've already got two. What are you looking at?
Synonyms.
For what?
Contra. Contrast. Inverse. Vice versa? Vice versa is not terrible.
It's not intuitive though. The only thing I'm looking for is intuitive.
But it has to be right as well. It can't just be...
Exactly. That's why it's hard. Opposite is right and intuitive. That's the point.
Contrary.
It's not like, think about the example of men and women. It's not contrary necessarily. It's just two ways of looking at the same thing.
I've got it. Tomato, tomato. There's two ways of looking at the same fruit.
I was expecting something so big.
That won't fit, mate. Is that good? Tomato, tomato. That's tomato. It's long. It's a bit long, but you can't also put a stipulation that it has to be within a certain amount of characters. Everyone understands tomato, tomato. If you're English speaking.
Potato, potato.
Potato, potato.
Okay, I'm gonna
tentatively. Yeah, right there.
Tomato.
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 Oh, tomato. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay.
You'll learn to love it. You'll learn to love. It
might so long.
Toto.
Toto. The toto. Oh, we could call it the tom tool. It's like, what do you mean? Tomato, tomato. So shortened to tom.
Shortened to tom. There you go. Three letters.
Tom tool.
From 2 to Tom. Come on, that's effective.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Now, an example.
So why?
I was about to do this.
Why?
One of the things we want to do is educate. The other thing is to visualize ideas. And if you were to say, okay, the reason why is because it comes up a lot in conversation. It's intuitive.
We're naturally drawn there.
It's the fewest amount of things you need for a comparison.
Write that down. Z.
I'm just thinking of an example, like on TikTok. How could we use this? You know, like some topic, there's some trend. How can we do this?
What do you mean?
Like there's some trend, there's some topic. How can we apply this tool? Like
so you could have
just as an example, like for example, relationships.
That's not a trend on TikTok.
It is now.
What do you mean?
And then you could say monogamy and sodomy.
What?
Monogamy and
polygamy.
Isn't that an example of a binary tool? And when you apply this tool to certain scales, like society, I realized that the outputs that you got, back to our previous video, had certain kinds of grouping. And then there's kind of, you use the opposition tool, and you would say, these are T. Wrong colours here, but
T and U are pretty big boys. That's a big boy to get in.
2 is its own thing.
Okay.
But that's how it's generated.
Okay.
The T2 is generated by the binary tool. You take a thing, you split it into 2, and then because all our tools can kind of work on top of one another, even the outputs, you can split those into 2. Or you can use another tool like grouping. You can group the outputs together. These are feminist. These are what those guys who are like pro dude, anti-feminist or whatever. You can say this is conservative. This is
See, that's
left wing.
What is this? This is the opposites tool, right?
See, this is the thing. Like that gets me a little bit uneasy.
Okay.
What is an opposite? Like, you know what I mean? I thought the user simply puts in one thing and another thing. It's down to the user's discretion, similar to focus.
That's not an opposite though. Opposites
but an
are
opposite
definitional.
is definitionally true.
Yeah.
And so how, based on this, how do we prove that something is actually an opposite or not?
I feel like it doesn't have to be proved. I think certain opposites are intuitive enough that if you leave it to the user, it's not going to crumble.
Because
people might use it wrong.
Yeah, we just say
that's
externally
okay.
validate
It's
it.
just be aware, because from my perspective, the binary tool is quite useful in getting a broader picture or a broader understanding of a concept, right? And so looking at something from the or splitting something up into the thing and its opposite is really useful because you've kind of covered not the whole spectrum but the limits, right? And so you get things like here and you get things here, and now you've got a clearer picture of this. Now it's for you to decide what you do with it. But when you're inputting these, try to be as unbiased as possible, right? So what you're saying to someone with opposites is, look at the spectrum, what's on either end? What's happening there? That's what the opposites tool is, right? Okay. So it's like boredom and excitement. They're two sides of one spectrum.
But aren't they also tomato? They're linked.
Yeah, but there's going to be overlap.
There's overlap.
Whereas boredom and excitement, like every opposite tool is a tomato tool, but it makes more sense to call it an opposite tool because that's more precise.
Okay.
Right? So that's why I would say it's
like a hammer and a mallet.
Two is also on some level an opposite tool. On some level.
No, it is. It is. It definitely is.
Yeah. But it's
so you built it in. Be more precise.
It would be more precise to call it two than opposites. Because it's more precise.
Yeah.
It's what kind of opposite? Traditional utilitarian.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
You know you understand this better than me.
No, I don't. I'm not. He's lying.
Wait, you're moving around. You're like, take a left and a roundabout, take the third exit. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah. You're forgetting I crashed the car. This was how.
I know where I'm going.
Okay. Right?
All right. 8 o'clock.
So that's binary as a general concept.
It's very, very intuitive.
Very intuitive.
You compare things. You compared yourself to your siblings.
Yeah.
Your mother compared your siblings to one another. You compare yourself to who you were in the past.
And it's when they compare you to your siblings, it's one sibling usually.
Interesting.
Or it's like you as an entity and other kids as an entity.
Yeah.
And that's the binary tool.
Yeah.
It's not like comparing you to like this. There's a grouping of these other people and you're the grouping. And that's the comparison. The two don't have to be of the same size or equivalent. It's just the act of comparison is so intuitive
to humans
that we already do it. Now, how can we use that
natural tendency
to learn about stuff and learn about ourselves
and bring it to the forefront?
Know what you're doing.
Exactly.
At least know. The same with claims.
Exactly.
Right? It's like you're doing it anyway and just know what you're doing.
Exactly.
We always miss. Woo! Woohoo! That really hurt.
Sorry. She's over exaggerating. I hope. And bring it to the forefront. Oh, we can't hear anyway.
It's not. Oh, it is, yeah.
Because it's plugged in. All right, that was 1 hour. Thank you very much, guys.
Your lines, though.
Ooh, we always miss. It's okay, guys.
Bye.